Now in this example I've been working on, I haven't really drawn specific realistic things in my design. I'm just using the elements as basics, the basics, lines and shapes, just using graphic images to illustrate each element. But if you want to have something that you're drawing with and follow a theme, that's also an option. Let's say, oh, I don't know, you maybe want to do something with sports. So what if in every square you use the idea of a piece of sports equipment, a field, something related to a sport? You could do that. But again, you'll be illustrating the elements and principles somehow using sports as your theme. So if I was doing sports, first I think I might do a little practice drawing. I'm going to use line to draw the baseball. And again, we don't want it floating in the center of our space with nothing happening outside of it. So perhaps I'll draw it very large so it fills the sheet. Then I'll get the stitching in so that it has the detail of a baseball. Then the little stitches. Yep, I think that's the way I'm going to start. So I'll begin to add that in. Again, it's really important to start out very lightly with your pencil so that if you do, not quite right, if you do a line or add something that is not working, you can erase it at this step, at this stage of your development of your design. Okay, so after I got it in pencil, I outlined it with the marker just to show the details a little better. I'm going to erase my pencil line. So for this one I've used several elements. Again, I'll put a little arrow up there. I use line, I use shape, and I'm about to shade this to create an illusion of form. Again, form refers to the three-dimensional quality of an object. So I'm going to take my colored pencil, or you could use your just a regular graphite pencil, and I'm just going to add a little shading on the baseball where I might have a shadow. To give it just the illusion that it's round, that it has form, it has depth, is not flat. I throw in a little purple too. Purple's a nice one for a shadow or shading in. Again, you can turn your your marker, turn your color pencil to the side. It's an effective way to add shadowing. Creates a little bit softer shadow, plus it takes a little less time. Going to make sure to leave some white for that really nice highlight. All right. Now in one of my compositional talks, we wanted to make sure we had the background looking interesting too, that we pay attention to that and not just what we're drawing. So I'm thinking, since baseball is usually played on a field, I might simply just fill the background shapes with a solid color, maybe green. So this will help the baseball really stand out from the background. Okay. Now some other ways to use the baseball or use other parts of the theme of sports. Perhaps I could use a bat to divide the space, maybe a catcher's mitt, or I could go to another sport. Maybe I want a football in this space. But again, please try to avoid floating objects. Really fill your space. Now, one thing I was thinking that I might do is create from our principles of design, the principle of pattern pattern is always a good idea to repeat shapes or lines or colors to create a pattern. It just makes an area more interesting. So what I could do is repeat the baseballs to make a pattern, or perhaps I could repeat the football to make a pattern, or let's use that bat idea. And maybe I could draw a series of, I'd have to do a little practicing on the bat shape. But I could draw a bat several times to create a pattern of bats. So I think you get the idea on following a theme. All right, now let's imagine that you don't have colored pencils or colored markers and you just want to use a pencil. Again, we're trying to elevate this. So if you're going to just use a pencil, make sure that you use it to every advantage. In other words, not just simple lines, but use your pencil to add thicker lines, use your pencil lightly to make a light value, darker to make a darker value. Really elevate your design. And you can get some really interesting things just using your pencil. So in this space, I've started with line. Here's my little detail of what's going in this space. And I wanted to do very rhythmic lines that have some nice movement. So there's my principle. Rhythm, when you repeat these lines like this, it sets up a bit of a rhythm. So I'm going to go back and make some of these lines much darker by just adding more pressure to my pencil. So soft pressure in some areas to make a really light line, and darker and to make darker lines. I've added contrast. Oh, there's another one. I've added contrast between the dark and the light, between the little and the thick, between the thin and the thick, short and long. So as I would continue, just adding these rhythmic lines. To create an interesting square that reflects line, rhythm, movement, contrast. I could also put value there because I've got darks and lights. All right, here's one I'm working on with the squares or rectangles. So this is my shape, element of shape. Again, I'm going to overlap those shapes. Don't worry too much about getting anything here. Those pieces aren't going to show, but I can always erase. But I want to have some more contrast. I'm going to make this shape really dark. And again, I've just overlapped the different shapes. This might even be a chance to do some graded values, which means it starts out, value, I can add that. Because it's going to start out dark and then get lighter as I move up. And when you're shading in with a pencil, remember one of the keys is to shade right up to the line so that you don't see a line, you just see a value change. That's really important. All right, so I would finish that out. Again, you can use the side of your pencil for some quicker fill time. I also want to emphasize this shape, and it's already drawing attention because it's different than the others, but I really want it to stand out. So my plan is to fill in the background space. I can add space. I can add that background, really heavy, and that will make that circle really stand out from the other pieces. So again, just a quick review. You're illustrating 5 elements of art, at least 5, using the principles of design to guide your decisions about how you're organizing your space. You can follow a theme in each one of your squares, like this one's going to follow sports as my theme. You can just work with basic elements of line and shape and color, value, whichever one's 5 here. And don't forget, as you're doing each space, make sure you're listing which elements you've used and which principles have guided your decisions. That's going to be really important later. Okay, here, so I've got this one to here, this one's to there, and then I would continue. Don't forget to do that. That's really important. Again, if all you have is a graphite pencil, you can do the same thing. 1 element in each square. Watch your craftsmanship. Make sure you're listing what elements and what principles you're using or illustrating. And then above all, don't forget to write your name and then circle which class you're in, AM or PM. Now what I'd like for you to do too, by Tuesday, I'll have that in the assignment, is send me a picture of your work in progress. Not finished, doesn't have to be finished by Tuesday, but please send me a picture, snap a picture and put it in, submit it to Canvas by Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Just your work in progress. Bring your finished piece and your notebook to class either Thursday or Friday, whichever your class meets. Remember, don't fold it or crinkle it or cut it out. Just keep it flat to carry it. You can put it in your notebook, put it in your folder, and then don't forget to bring your folder with your completed work to class. I'll look forward to seeing you then.